Hello, it's Bruce. It's Sunday, March 8th, sort of a spring afternoon now, and I'm glad to be back. I haven't blogged in, I think, over a month, and that's because we went to Thailand for 2 weeks a couple weeks ago, and that was a whirlwind. And before that, I saw a few shows that I really didn't blog about yet, so I'll talk about them very briefly. We had a great time in Thailand, and I hope to get a video or two together about that trip. But for now, let's talk about what we did. Well, before we left for Thailand, we saw a couple shows, one of which was a musical called The Story of My Life. And if you've been following Broadway, you know that it opened, I think, on a Thursday and closed that Sunday. So I don't really want to say much. There were a couple interesting things about it. Mostly, we loved the cast, Malcolm Getz and Will Chase. And it took a critical drubbing and is no longer with us. The news to follow that, of course, is that opened up that theater, and a revival of Next to Normal will be opening, starring two friends of mine, Alice Ripley and J. Robert Spencer. So I am looking forward to that. The other show we saw was off-Broadway. It was Charles Busch's The Third Story, which I think closes next week. The reason I didn't blog about that was because I just had nothing to say about it. Charles Busch was wonderful as always in his persona, his female persona, but the book, the play by Charles Busch, was rather scattershot, combining lots of plots and not making a lot of sense. And I thought Kathleen Turner and Charles Busch would be a perfect foils, but Kathleen Turner did not turn in a very decent performance, at least when I saw it, which was a week before the opening. All right, well, on to things that I... Lo and behold, a funny, enjoyable musical off-Broadway. How they're going to keep it there, I don't know. It's got like a cast of 13, and it's at the York Theater. But God bless it, it seems to be selling out, and it's called Ender Laughing, the Musical, to distinguish it from Ender Laughing, the hit 1963 comedy. This is the same musical, or a slightly rewritten, I would assume, as a 1976 Broadway musical adaptation called So Long 174th Street, which starred Bobby Morse. This, however, is a cut-down version because it's off-Broadway, and has one exceptional reason to see it. Well, it had many reasons, but the one exceptional reason is the lead, Josh Grizzetti, who, if Danny Kaye mated with Ray Bolger and had this child who also sang wonderfully and did all the things that Danny Kaye and Ray Bolger did, he would be Josh Grizzetti, and he's perfect. This guy made me laugh so hard during his scene about Ender Laughing, and if you've seen the play or not, you know the bit there. Honest to God, there was like 5 minutes of nonstop laughter in the theater. Another highlight in it is seeing the wonderful Bob Dishy ham it up. I saw Bob Dishy the first time on Broadway in 1965, I think, in Flora the Red Menace. He was Liza Minnelli's boyfriend in Flora the Red Menace. It was wonderful to see that he still has his chops, his theater chops, his comedy chops. And Marla Schaffel, who was Jane Eyre a few years back on Broadway, shows that she's a great comic actress. I thought she was quite over the top and wonderful. Ender Laughing has been extended at least toward the end of March, and I highly recommend it, and I hope that it's extended again because it really, the audience just loved it. It just was the most fun I've had in a long time. Now, Friday night we saw a little revival deconstructionism of Thornton Wilder's Our Town, which is now off-Broadway at the Barrow Street Theater. It's brought to us, directed by David Cromer, who also plays the stage manager, and I believe it's been done in Chicago. This is a Chicago theater company called the Hippocrates, forgive me if I have the name wrong, Hippocrates Theater Company. It's quite interesting. It's very good. I would recommend it. It is a very different take on our town in a way. I found it pretty not emotional until the third act. David Cromer actually is one of the more emotional people in it, and he's sort of monotone as the stage manager, I think, usually is. However, this brings the text to life, and it's in such a small setting with the audience completely surrounding this tiny little stage. It actually makes the play very moving. All the actors are fine. I don't think anyone's meant to shine. I think it's meant to show the literary merit of the piece in a way. However, the one person who I did like, besides David Cromer, who I actually did like as the stage manager, was the guy that played George Gibbs, and that's James McMenamin. And I was oddly unmoved until the third act, where it just moved me as always. And I've only seen Our Town twice. What did move me before the show started was in the lobby. I ran into Edward Albee, who I have talked to a couple of times in the past, and we've had a short correspondence. And I did get to talk to him again, and that's always a pleasure talking, because he is the icon of, to me, American theater writers. So seeing Edward Albee was a real highlight. And he announced that he is having a 4th volume of his works published. So I have the first 3, and I said I can't look forward to that. I can't wait to see that. I can look forward to it. I'm looking so forward to it. All right, now, seeing this Our Town reminded me of the last time I saw Our Town, which was, if you saw the little playbill movie that I had move over, was a Lincoln Center production. And it was the complete opposite. This was February '89 at the Lyceum. And it starred Spalding Gray as the stage manager, had James Redhorn in it, and Francis Conroy, and as Emily and George, Penelope Ann Miller and Eric Stoltz. And it broke your heart. It was so beautiful. And this is what the new Our Town doesn't have. It doesn't seem to have this emotional acting core of just breaking your heart with the characters. They seem so real in the Lincoln Center production, and it's not so in this production directed by David Cromer. However, I don't think that was his choice. I don't think that's what their aim is. I think they're putting the play in a whole different spotlight. So I do recommend it, but you might find it a little cool and aloof. I don't know. The third act, hey, what can I say? That one just gets you. All right, so a very high recommendation for Ender Laughing, a recommendation for Our Town, and the third story, one more week, see one of the other two. All right, hope to see you soon.